Yeah, I mean, it's a really good quality player that we got in Brevin in terms of a person. He comes here, with experience, playing in Minnesota. Has great measurables in terms of size and length, and really good athleticism. He's smart. Our ability to be able to get him, especially where we got him at, in terms of the free agency, make sure you get excited as a coach because it's another young guy that you have in your room to be able to develop. So I'm excited about him. In the room, he fit in with the room really well early on.
You
so
have a
far.
good problem to have. It seems like you got a lot of
Yeah.
spots. It's hard to get them all on the roster, but is that good at this time of year?
Oh yeah, it's a great problem to have because again, you're not just playing guys because hey they're in the room, or guys not just getting reps just because hey they're in the room. Those guys understand that their reps are very valuable because everybody brings their own unique quality to the room, and so each guy understands that hey I got to be at my best every day to make sure I continue to give myself the best opportunity to make this team. So it's a great problem to have.
I'm sure they've already asked you this question, but on Jake,
Uh-huh.
how do you see where he's not satisfied with what he did
Yeah.
last year?
Again, we always talk about in our room, shooting for perfection and achieving excellence. And, as you go back and comb through the tape, you have some plays out there that you left out there that you're always chasing. It may be a drop, it may be a block. So you're always chasing those plays. And I think, that's where we always talk about being consistent and consistently getting better and being able to play at a high level consistently, not just for 1 year. The great ones play consistently on a high level every year throughout their career. The Wittens of the world, the Kelsics of the world. So you want to be able to chase that consistency and play great every year. So I think that might be one of the things that he's focusing on is, hey, anybody can do it 1 year, right? But can I do it every year and not only do it like that, but do it a little bit better. Why not get to 1,000 yards? Why not execute all the blocks that I need to execute? Why not catch those balls where, hey, it was deep across the middle and yeah, I got banged, but hey, I need to come up with it. So I think that's where we're always chasing. I think that's one of the things he's probably focusing on.
He talked about his approach last year was a big reason why he made that jump.
Yeah.
Did you notice any like a more serious approach that he had into his second year and carrying into his third year?
No, I mean, I think it's just a testament in terms of, what he's came from in terms of a player. Football has been a part of his life for a long time, with his grandfather being a legendary coach. So he understands every year, you got to turn the page and just go right back at it and be a little bit more dialed in, a little bit more detailed so that then when that opportunity presents itself, you're ready for it.
What are your expectations for Schoonmaker going into his second year?
Again, my expectations for him going in the second year too is to be consistent and continue to develop. We got to pick up the bar where we left it at in this past January. I think we made big strides as the season went along. We was kind of behind the eight ball a little bit with him being out majority of the off season, but we just got to be able to pick up the bar where we left it at in January and build on that foundation that we started on last season. And I think if we're always building on the foundation and not starting over, all right, that's where I think you see the biggest jump, because in year one, sometimes you don't get to where expectations might have had you at, but as long as you're able to pick up where you left off at and continue to build on it, then I think that's where the big year two jump comes in at.
Lunda, I don't know if you've been asked this already, but John Stevens,
Yeah.
he had a great training camp.
Yeah.
He went down with the torn ACL.
Yeah.
Where's he at in his progress, and what's his skill set provide for you?
I think he's ahead of schedule physically. Those guys have been working their behind off with Brett all throughout the season. And one of the best things that happened for him, God kind of took away his legs, so it forced him to kind of get in the weight room and build that upper body strength. And you look at his physical structure right now. I mean, he's put together pretty good now going into year two. Again, his biggest redeeming quality is his athleticism to be able to stretch the field vertically. And he understands route details. He understands how to get in and out of breaks. He's tough, which allows him to have the ability to develop into an adequate blocker for us. And so that skill set in the passing game is going to be really good for us going forward. And I'm excited to get him back on the grass and get to working.
With John Stevens, is it also his red zone ability and maybe the kind of target he can be in that area?
Yeah. Yeah, he's a big target. He's he was born into this game playing receiver, so he understands the red zone efficiency and understands how important the red zone is. And being a big target for the QBs, he can catch it high. He's long, that's why his nickname is Stretch. So excited to get back to working with him and all the guys in the room. I mean, Peyton's up in there working his behind off. Scooney's working, even Fant's working. All those guys are working tremendous, so I'm excited to have those guys back on the grass starting next week.
With how young your room is, Jake being the top guy, in his third year, how do you look at leadership? Do you delegate leadership? Do you let someone pick up that mantle in the room? Like, how do you kind of assess who the leader is?
Again, I'm one of the people that, I look at leadership as leadership is earned, right? Everybody doesn't necessarily have leadership capabilities, and leadership is not determined by how you play, just by how you play. Because you have some great players that play great, but they don't necessarily have the leadership ability, the leadership qualities, which that's okay. And there's some guys that are not your great players, right? But they're the leaders they're the guys you want to follow. So I think it's a feel, and it leadership kind of takes on its own in terms of you set the pace of the room, you set the standard of the room. And then from that, your leaders start poking out. It's just like water and grass. You water the grass, then grass start rising. So you set the standards for the room. The leaders will poke themselves out in different phases, in different ways.
I'm sorry if you were asked earlier about
okay.
Brevin, but what stood out on the field, you finally got him on the field, and then the way that he was utilized in Minnesota, but how you want to use him here.
Again, like I said earlier to some of the guys, I think, when you talk about measurables, when you talk about a wide tight end, he fits all the measurables, checks all the box. He's up to 6'8" now. I tell him every day, hey, you're 6'8" now. So, you got to get him to believe, hey, you are a big man, right? So play to your redeeming qualities, right? You have something that a lot of guys don't have, which is the size and the length. So play to that and own that. So he has the measurables, very smart, very diligent worker so far. He has really good athleticism and size and length. So I'm beyond excited about having him here, and especially how we got him. That's those are the type of free agents that you really you sleep well at nighttime knowing you got that in the back pocket.
When did that start Saturday night? Where Brevin's still available. Brevin's still available. Like Brevin's still,
I mean that really didn't start last night. I mean he's on our board very high, and we was quite shocked that he didn't get picked up. So it's kind of one of those deals where you just keep watching the picks go in, and it's like, okay, all right, he's still sitting there. All right, cool. All right, 6th round. All right, we got a chance. And then now you start praying, hey, please don't let nobody draft him. Please don't let nobody draft him. But now I'm excited to have him and even Alex, another guy we got here too. He's working his behind off. All those guys are really working, so got a good room.
Yeah.
Kind of a different question, but like for yourself, how have you seen yourself develop as a coach? And especially with the different guys that you've kind of been through, how have you seen your progression? And what have you kind of learned through the few years?
Again, the biggest thing I've learned through the few years is you're always evolving as a coach. You're always learning, and the players, without a doubt, can teach you a lot more stuff than what you really think. And when I say that, meaning some people always think teaching you is good stuff, right? They give you some good stuff, but then also they can show you some bad stuff that you be like, okay, I didn't think about that. I need to get that out of his game, or I need to get that out of his mind in terms of what he thinks about himself on the field and off the field. So always adapting, learning from the players, good and bad. That's probably been one of the biggest things helping me grow and develop, because again, when I first got in the league, I was the youngest coach in the room. Now I get in the league, hey, I'm older than all those guys now. And so they look at me as being the leader, and I am, but the flip side is I'm learning. I always tell those guys, this is not a dictatorship, this is a democracy. This is a coach-to-player, player-to-coach relationship, and we both have to have input because we're all tied to each other's money, and I think that's the biggest thing. And when you do that, you really get the best out of the players, and then also the players get the best out of you.
One or two more guys.
I'm sure you've been asked about Jake already, but this year, this version of him, he still has a lot of room for growth.
Oh yeah.
Where do you see him going next?
Again, I go back to what I said earlier, and I said this all the time: consistency. And you had a good year last year. Again, can you do it again? Legends and the great players do it consistently over the years. Jason Wittens of the world, the Kelsics, Tony Gonzalez. You go down the list, the great ones, right? Do it consistently every year. You can't be one and done. You can't be like, just a one-hit wonder, right? Because again, those get lost, right? But when you want to be great, you got to do it every year, right, consistently. And I think that's the challenge that he understands. That's the best thing. He understands that I got to consistently do this every year, and not just do it the same, but do it even better. You know, we always talk about in the room, do my job to the best of my ability, better than it's ever been done before. If you do that, you do it to the best of my ability, hey, I'm paying homage to God. But if I raise the standard, again, you set the standard last year, right? The room has set the standard. Hey, let's make sure we do it even better, right? And I think that's what the great ones do.
And where's John Stevens right now?
Oh, he's in a good place. You know, physically, he's in a good position physically. I mean, his body looks great. He's running around good. The biggest thing with John and all the guys coming off surgery is no setbacks right now, because we're shooting for a training camp, hitting training camp in tip-top shape and health, so that those guys put their best foot forward.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.